Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Your Core Companion. So this little series here is what to do after a knee replacement. And I'm going to say at least maybe a month out of a knee replacement. Obviously, what you're going to be doing is, working with a physical therapist, et cetera, et cetera. I can tell you I did, but depending on your insurance, you may only get about 10 sessions with your PT. So it's important to keep going. And I think one of the hardest things that we have to think about is the potential of falling, getting down, and getting up. So with that being said, it was my left knee, but you're right. So as I'm facing to camera, so I'll just say my right knee to make it easier so you can follow along. So what I would do is, first of all, the two pieces of equipment that's easy to use. And again, this is going to be a little while out of, getting into that, having your knee replacement, because keeping in mind, you're still going to have swelling. You really want to keep your ice machine going. I mean, that is absolutely crucial from day one. Ice it, ice it, ice it. And then I'm going to show you a couple things that you can do that I actually did immediately, like the third day after my knee replacement. Because to be honest with you, how I got through it was through nutrition. So I truly leaned into an anti-inflammatory diet as to where I'm plant-based. I've been for 40 years. And when you think of the food that does create inflammation in the body, meat, wheat, dairy, all those things that, people crave and they think is good for them, in reality creates inflammation in the body. So the more that you can really lean into dark green vegetables, celery is anti-inflammatory, pineapple is anti-inflammatory, beets, turmeric, ginger, and find yourself juicing these things or blending these things. And it's not tasty, I won't lie to you. However, when I went to the doctor 1 week after post-op, and he said, "You're swelling it, you're doing fantastic, you have very little swelling, what are you doing?" And I actually brought him one of the drinks that I juice. And he said, "So this is what you're doing?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "How are you staying ahead of the pain?" And I said, "This is how I'm staying ahead of the pain." Granted, you're going to take ibuprofen, but you definitely want to steer away from, oxycodone and opioids, because first of all, they give you insane brain fog. And I can see for some people, they become extremely, addicting. For me, I took one, that was it. And the way I stayed ahead of the pain was by movement, meditation, and, knowing that I was going to get through it. Not an easy process, I won't lie to you. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but I know a lot of people my age that basically are having knee replacements due to the fact that we did such stupid stuff back when we were starting in this industry, like crunches, woo, let's work our hip flexors, and we didn't know any better back then. So my passion for sharing with you the importance of the way that you move for longevity is up to you. Are you training for aesthetics? Are you training for quote unquote a better booty because you might think you look better in clothes? Or are you actually training for longevity and functionality? For me, at this age, I'm far more interested in being able to ski, to ride, to water ski, and do all the things that I love to do with a knee replacement. So what you're going to want to do is, again, you got this knee going on and kind of got to get into a hinge. You might have a chair that allows you to kind of get down easier, but I don't have a chair. So I'm going to place my hands out. I'm not going to put the knee replacement knee down because that will be painful. And I'm going to set down on my good knee. Then I'm going to roll over and be here. So with the knee replacement knee, one of the things you want to think about is getting into that extension. Now your PT is going to really work on extension because that's one of the hardest things, and flexion, to get into. So what I found myself doing is using the bender ball and just lowering the heel and really trying to facilitate your vastus medialis by lifting and lowering, keeping in mind your nerves have been, really changed here. You know, you've got surgery here, and lots of different doctors, you know, they're either gonna make the incision in the front of the patella, to the side of the patella, they may use your own patella, or they'll put another one in. Unfortunately, I still have mine, and I'd really like to get rid of it. But now we're here, and so just being here, sitting nice and tall, and now you're pressing down into the ball and releasing, pressing and releasing, you can do this, all right? That's one thing, and if you're planning on having a knee replacement, do this now before you have it. Okay, next one. So our heel slides to work into flexion, and this is where you can use a gliding disc, or if you're just sitting on a surface that's slippery, you can do that too. So by holding on to the other side, you're gonna press the heel out and pull back in. So what they're looking for is how much flexion can you get? Now, I didn't have good flexion to begin with. I still don't have great flexion, I won't lie to you. But at least what this does is it works from moving into extension and recruiting hamstrings back into flexion as you're in a seated position. Now, if you get fatigued, you wanna actually sit back, use your bender ball here. So again, it's flexion and extension working into the hamstring. And again, that extension facilitating that quadricep. That's another one. Now, with our TheraBand and our ball, and to work into a little bit more extension, is by lying in a supine position, placing the ball underneath the side that you might have a knee replacement on, and then you're gonna slowly start to, and now, if you're swollen, this is maybe as far as you're gonna get. You know, if you fully straighten the leg out and you're like, that hurts, then just keep a soft bend in the knee. Now, you're gonna reach the opposite arm over the head, and you're gonna focus on lengthening your hip flexor. And what the beauty of this is you're not weight bearing. And it makes a huge difference. So if I, you know, want to lengthen my hip flexor in a lunge, I can't because I'm weight bearing and I'm still not there yet, I'm gonna hang out here all day long. So what this does is that it creates kind of a little bit of tension in tissue, and eventually you're gonna be able to straighten that leg, straighten both legs, keeping in mind the opposite gluteus is actually down on the floor. Our goal here is to lengthen your hip flexor, because you're gonna be in a little bit of hip flexion for quite a while, just because you're not gonna get that knee extension yet, okay? So I highly recommend it. Next thing, as I said, is I loved using the ball. I put it under my tailbone and I just hung out here, and I put both of my legs up against the wall. So imagine I had my feet up against the wall. I had a nice little bend in my knee and I hung out here. Why am I doing this? Because essentially, keeping in mind that you've got all this fluid now going this way against gravity as opposed to that way. And I would just, for example, maybe put my foot down and I would just gently do this. So I would say, all right, lymphatic system, I'm gonna ask you to drain in this direction. So I would gently just pull, and I would do this, oh, I don't know, probably 10 times a day. Now, the other thing too, is you can always use your tube. And if you don't need the ball under your ear, you can do that as well. But is to use your TheraBand and to go again from your flexion to extension. And anytime we start to work here that we're not necessarily weight bearing, you will become weight bearing. So it's a press and an extend. So any of these movements, right? You know, a month or so after your knee replacement, or even before you go to have surgery, I recommend. It worked for me. I was back on my water ski in 3 months. Now, how do you get back up? So again, I'm gonna swing my leg around. I'm gonna be weight bearing. I'm weight bearing on the good side. I'm gonna kind of toe tap under. I'm gonna bring this foot in front. I'm completely weight bearing on this side. Bring both feet together and come up. I have to practice that, I won't lie to you. I have to do that a few times, especially on and off my bed, etc. So I hope these little tips will, you know, help you get through, you know, having a knee replacement. Again, it's not a fun surgery, but You know, if you go in with the idea, I'm gonna train like an athlete, prior to having it done, you'll get through it so much better. Good luck to you, if indeed, you've got one coming up.